Blog Talk Radio.
Happy Friday, y'all. This is BeatStreet Sports Talk Radio. I am your host, Lee, a.k.a. the Hoops Guru, riding solo today, but it's a fantastic Friday, and we're doing our NBA show today. So I'm happy to do that. Love talking ball. And if anybody got anything to add, feel free to give us a call. The number is 347-945-6921. Again, that's 347-945-6921. And football is over. It's officially over, so it's basketball season for all you part-time basketball fans. You know, this is the time when you guys kind of start seeing what's going on to the NBA. I know ABC and ESPN start having their weekly Sunday games, so that's pretty good. So the spotlight's going to get on the NBA right now, and if you haven't been paying attention, things are pretty interesting. Miami and Indianapolis are ruling the East, but there are teams like the Washington Wizards, Toronto Raptors, surprising teams like the Atlanta Hawks that are trending in the right direction. Washington has some great wins over some powerhouse teams. They lost in a double overtime game at home against the San Antonio Spurs 2 nights ago. They're above 500 for the first time, I believe, since 2009. So John Wall and Bradley Beal and those young guys are getting that team to move in the right direction. And it's good because John Wall is actually going to be in the All-Star game, and he's also going to be participating in the slam dunk contest. Bradley Beal will be in the three-point shootout. And we'll talk about more about the All-Star festivities in a little bit. But would like to get in actually to talking about another big thing that happened in basketball, the retirement of Commissioner David Stern. After 30 years, the commissioner is hanging up the hat and handing over the reins of the league to Adam Silver, who was his deputy or right-hand man. I think it's going to be a great transition. From what I've seen of Adam Silver, I kind of like the way he carries himself, and hopefully he'll bring some positive things to the NBA. There's a lot of people that say Commissioner Stern was the greatest commissioner in the history of American sports. I know he had a long tenure. I don't know if anyone's ever had a 30-year tenure, so it's definitely got to be one of the longest. And when people say that he's the greatest, maybe not. I have a weird thought process about David Stern because when we look at the history of his 30-year run, when he came into the league was kind of trending towards that direction anyway. He came in the league when Magic and Bird came off their great rivalry in college and came into the NBA, one East Coast, one West Coast, 2 major cities, one black, one white, around the same height, same stature, same build. It marketed itself. Through those initial battles while the NBA was slowly rolling at the top of the hill, you had guys come in like Ralph Sampson, and then you had Akeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, and then a young pup by the name of Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And Michael and those guys coming in brought a new, exciting dynamic to the game. And the league, Michael Jordan was a self-marketing tool within itself for, we'll say, almost a 20-year span, let's say, because he came in the league in '84, took a little break, came again with the Bulls, took a little break, and even played a few more years with Washington. So, and just the revolutionary style Michael brought within himself outside of Commissioner Stern's vision with the black socks, with the long shorts. Remember, Mike used to wear a big chain during the slam dunk contest in the early years, or just his flamboyant style started bringing attention. Then there was another thing is they brought winning to the NBA as well. That was like one of the first dynasties we really saw. We never saw the three-peat. in the 72-game wins and things of that nature. So the Chicago Bulls, and during that era, it was really marketing itself. He was a an icon. You know, and then after that era, it seemed like they still wanted Stearns had some difficulty perpetuating stars. You know, you had your Allen Iversons and different guys of that nature coming into the league after that era, and that's where he kind of had a rough patch. You know, self-image issues, guys wearing velours and chains on the bench, the cornrow era and thing of that nature. I don't know if I think David Stern felt like, you know, he was scaring off his meals ticket, which is suburban America and corporate America. And, you know, when Ron Artest ran into the stands, that was probably one of the scariest moments during his tenure. During that time, you know, that's when he kind of had to set the dial back. They instituted the dress code, and I'm not a hater against that. I mean, it's a shame that you have to do that for adults, but when you don't realize that you are in a profession and that you need to, you know, project a certain style, and you don't, you know, then you have to set rules and parameters, because no one is bigger than the brand. The brand feeds everybody, from the commissioner to the owners to the coaches to the players and on down. So you have to protect that, because if the fans go, everything goes. So I understand the dress code and everything like that, but what I didn't like is when David Stern came in and started instituting more of the European style of basketball with, you know, allowing to play zone defenses, you know, getting rid of being able to basically touch and stay in front of the defender, really getting rid of all the physicality of basketball. And right now we're in an era where they're virtually trying to, or not even virtually, literally, they're trying to get rid of the center position, because it's not even available on the NBA All-Star ballot anymore. You can vote for 3 backcourt positions in a front court position instead of actually voting for a specific center position. So, you know, everybody needs a stretch 4 now. It's a running game. You're not allowed to hand check. You're not allowed to, you know, you're only allowed to back up home for 5 seconds. So all those things are things that kind of impede basketball's growth direction a little bit. But all in all, I say I'd have to give Commissioner Stern an A+, because he did a stupendous job over his 30-year reign. Just a beautiful, beautiful job. So, you know, the ball is in Adam Silver's hands now, and I hope he takes off with it. I really do. I think he's set up lovely. You know, Stern left him with the bases loaded. You know, and we're up a few runs. You know, there's not much risk right now for Adam Silver. So hopefully he carries the torch and keeps things progressing and growing in the right direction. Just give me I'm taking a quick little break, and we're gonna get into the All-Stars this weekend. So hold one moment, we'll be right back with you. Hey, y'all, this is BeatStreet Sports Talk Radio. Just need to take a quick break real quick. But I'm going to get back into some things now as far as the All-Star Weekend that's about to take place here. one of the things that popped out to me greater than anything is that Damian Lillard is going to be the first player to participate in all 5 major events that are taking place in All-Star Weekend, which means he's going to be taking place in the rookie-sophomore game. He's going to be taking place in the skills challenge. He's going to be taking place in the three-point shootout through the slam dunk contest, and he's going to be playing in the All-Star game on Sunday. That is unprecedented. I don't think that's never happened before. He's going to be a very, very, very busy young man. But I don't know what sneaker label he's with, sneaker brand, but those guys need to be working overtime. They really need to push him out here because he's not going to have a bigger stage than he's going to be on this weekend. And, you know, for a guy that was a 6th pick in the draft out of a small college, not really highly thought of, hey, hats off to him, man. Congratulations. You know, you've done a milestone that probably no one's ever going to do, and not it's going to happen often. That was someone that's actually going to be participating in all 5 major events this weekend. That's phenomenal. I do have a kind of a caveat here, or not even a caveat, just a kind of a head scratcher when I think about why is he participating in all events. Like the 3-point shootout, there's 8 contestants. They do 4 from the East, 4 from the West. Now, for the West, which, you know, he's a part of because Damian Lillard plays for Portland, they have Damian Lillard, Stephen Curry, Kevin Love, and Marco Bellinelli. I don't know what parameters they use to select these players, but I'm looking at guys like Wesley Matthews out of Portland, who's a great 3-point shooter who's not participating. Marcus Thornton from Sacramento, another great shooter who's not participating. Gordon Hayward with the Utah Jazz, you know, he's a young but 2nd or 3rd year player, ideally Caucasian as well, which is always a plus to market in the NBA. A kid out of Butler, he's not participating in the 3-point shootout. And then you have a big, someone like Channing Frye out of Portland, the guy who's had a hard murmur and missed a year, came back. He's playing very good ball, would have been another nice story. And he's a very good 3-point shooter. It's kind of his specialty. Those 4 guys to me seem more deserving to be in the 3-point shootout than someone like Damian Lillard. You know, who's a point guard. He does make 3-point shots, but this is kind of a specialty. And you would think guys would get, especially guys like that, the NBA would draw from these guys and, you know, put these guys that normally don't get the big stage on the big stage so they can demonstrate their skill set and show the variety and depth that the NBA has to offer. Now, and also when you look at the East, it's a totally different story. Well, not different story, but just another head scratcher. You have Aaron Aflalo, Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving, and Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson can shoot the 3, but he's not a guy that, to me, is one of your top-flight 3-point shooters in the league. Like, he's not Stephen Curry. When he's back there, I don't think it's automatically going in. And speaking of that, it's weird to me, Klay Thompson's not in the 3-point shootout, one of the Splash Brothers. You would think he would be participating in the 3-point shootout. But there's somebody that's missing from the 3-point shootout in the East. And unless this guy turned it down, I don't understand at all why he's not in the 3-point shootout. And that is Kyle Korver from the Atlanta Hawks. You know, the guy who's made a 3-pointer in at least, I believe, 110 consecutive games? That guy. How do you have the guy who's holding the record for most consistency of shooting the 3-point shot not participating in this event? I would love to sit down with an NBA executive and see how this process comes about. Is it voted on by the fans or by the coaches, or is just some suit in the back trying to think of contestants who are going to get people to watch and keep the ratings more interesting? I would like to know, but Kyle Korver should have been the first person invited to this event, outside of maybe Kyrie Irving, the guy who won it last year. but nevertheless, there are some there are some great shooters in here. It's going to be interesting to see certain guys like Bradley Beal. He said he's never seen Larry Bird shoot ever. That's weird to me for somebody who's in the NBA, but he is pretty young, so that may be outside of his time reference. But it's gonna. I do like the lineup. I will definitely be watching. Another event that Damian Lillard is participating in is the slam dunk contest. Now, as a guy that's 6'3", he's had a few nice dunks in games. So he campaigned to get in this dunk contest. So maybe he has some hops that I don't know of. But it's going to be interesting because John Wall's in the contest. I have my man NKA is kind of hating on John Wall, but if anybody watches ball, John has springs. He has I've seen him do some nice dunks, 360s between the legs, some behind the back dunks. He's able to dunk with the left or right hand with nice velocity. So I think if he gets creative, I think he'll have some nice dunks to throw in there. Paul George, he's 6'8", 6'9", so it's kind of hard for guys his height to really demonstrate their athleticism because it always just looks prettier with the shorter guys. But he reminds me of Tracy McGrady, that length and his jumping ability, so he may pull off some beautiful stuff. Then, of course, you have Terrence Ross, the reigning, being from that event. He had some creativity last year. The guy had a 51-point game this year, so, I know he's happy about this weekend. Maybe he can kind of come out of obscurity and become more of a NBA name that people aren't aware of. But those are the contestants. You know me, I'm going to be rooting for my man Wall. I'm a Washington Wizards fan, so I'll definitely push it for him. But I think he has as good a shot as anybody in this contest this year. Now, also for All-Star Weekend, Kobe Bryant, he was voted in by our beautiful, intelligent NBA fans who voted in the guy who played, I believe, 6 games this year. But he's not going to be available for the All-Star game. Anthony Davis got the nod in his place. Am I thrilled with that? I'm indifferent. If they would have gave it to DeMarcus Cousins, I wouldn't have been mad. Tim Duncan would have got it, wouldn't have been mad. What's his name? The point guard from Phoenix, Dragic. I wouldn't have been mad at that. David Lee wouldn't have been mad at either. But I think Dragic is the most deserving. Phoenix is playing better than anyone has anticipated those guys playing this year. This was supposed to be a tanking year for Phoenix. They got rid of Gortat for Emeka Okafor, a guy who hasn't played a lick this year. But right now these guys are 9 games over 500 in the West. And, the proverbial question that everybody likes to say, or statement they like to say, if the playoffs started today, Phoenix would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'd be the 7th seed in the West. And they're basically in a tie with Golden State record-wise, and maybe a game they're like 3.5 games behind Houston to be in the 5th seed. So, and Dragic is a big reason by their success, and Phoenix doesn't have any representation for the All-Star team this year, and it would have been nice to reward someone for that team, and I think Dragic would have been the person to reward. But because fans voted in someone like Kobe Bryant, this is what happens. The guys like Dragic get left off, and the coaches, for some crazy reason, and maybe for pressure, I don't know, they selected Damian Lillard, Tony Parker, and Chris Paul. So that's 3 point guards on the bench. They weren't going to select another guard, and that's why someone like Dragic really didn't have a chance of getting Kobe's spot, even though he may have been the most deserving for it at this time. And you feel sad for guys like him and guys like Kyle Lowry because, this was their best shot to make an all-star team. And when you don't make it, you never know if this is going to come back. But hold on 1 second. We have a caller on the line. Let's see who it is. Hey, caller, thanks for holding. This is BeatStreet Sports Talk Radio.
Hey, what's up? This is Duhan.
Hey, what's up, Duhan? How's it going?
Not much. I've got some comments on the Cleveland Cavaliers if you're ready to talk about the anti-All-Star team. If you want to go the other end of the spectrum completely, we can talk about the Cavs.
Oh, but you know what? I'd love to talk about the Cavaliers because, you're the resident expert on Cleveland. What the hell is wrong with Cleveland? When I saw that roster at the beginning of the season, I thought they had promise. As a Washington Wizards fan, I said, wow, this is a team that, if we're fighting for the 7th to 8th spot, this would be a team that will probably give us trouble. Why hasn't it worked out this year, Chris?
Well, I'm going to list a few things they did wrong, but it's important that I list them in order of importance because I think really when there's discussion about the Cavaliers right now and they're kind of a hot topic, it's important to understand that there's a lot done wrong, but some things are more important than others. So I'm going to just concede the fact that we don't have a good GM and he screwed up some draft picks. That is what it is. So, that happens, and let's just let it go for now. The biggest issue with the Cavs, and it's something I don't think is brought up a whole lot, is if you look at our roster, we are a team with personnel that should be playing like Golden State. But we play like the 1999 San Antonio Spurs because our coach is Mike Brown, and he's really limited. He doesn't really understand or is not able to embrace getting up and down the court. That's just not what he does. He's a Popovich disciple. And so we basically have the personnel of the New Orleans Saints, and we're playing like we're the New York Jets, if that analogy works for you.
Okay, but let's talk more about this. They drafted Tristan Thompson, Waiters, and Anthony Bennett. I believe those are the last 3 picks the Cavaliers have made. Out of all those picks, do you agree with any of them? Or were there any guys on the board that you thought should have been taken?
There were nothing wrong with the picks. I think that there's too much emphasis about, bad draft picks by the Cavs. The main problem with the Cavs, personnel-wise, is that their 4 and 5 positions cannot give you anything offensively. They're all garbage men. And I don't mean, and that's a term of endearment. They're rebound and hustle guys. Tristan Thompson, just learned to shoot over the summer, and that's what he told everyone. This summer I learned how to shoot a basketball. So, you're not going to get a lot of scoring, and so that's why they drafted Bennett. It was a reach. They were trying to get someone who could fill that 4 spot, maybe play a little 3, but mostly 4, and actually give you like an outside shooting threat and stretch the defense. But, that is what it is, and that happens, you miss. But so the big problem now is every time the Cavs are on offense, you got 3 point guards dribbling around, 3 guys that need the ball. Luol Deng's just kind of standing there wondering what's going on, trying to do something, but he's kind of just out of his idiom, I guess. But so you got all these guys, and we're trying to slow it down and run some sort of offense where these guards are supposed to somehow penetrate the lane, which is clogged because the bigs can't play offense. So no one really has to pay any attention to those guys, and so we just don't get anywhere offensively. It's always a contested jump shot by Irving Waiters or Jarrett Jack, and these are 3 guys that should be running fast breaks all game. We should just be like, we got three thoroughbreds who can go up and down the floor, and we need to beat the defense because once the defense gets set, it's too easy to guard us. Yeah, very much. Very much. That's the same way I feel. Is that a reason why Kyrie Irving looks like he's regressed this year as from last year? Because, last year the league was his. Now, it looks like Damian Lillard is the guy they're falling in love with. But, Cleveland's record is atrocious. Is there any difference in Kyrie Irving's game this year from last year? Well, I think probably there's more guys that need the ball, and I think he does his best trying to be a facilitator, but it's like the coach really doesn't give anyone anything to facilitate. I watched a game last week where Greg Anthony said about halfway through the second quarter, I haven't really seen the Cavs run any offense yet. Because they just don't know how. I'm serious. I mean, Greg Anthony just kind of said it matter of factly, and I'll take his word for it because he played, 13 years in the league or whatever, but they don't really run an offense. They just try to break guys down off the dribble. But the problem is that behind that first line of defense, there's two big men who are just clogging the lane. Yeah. So there's nowhere to go. And, as far as Irving goes, I would say if I was Kyrie Irving, this would be a pretty demotivating situation. It's not a fun way to play.
My thing is, though, I look at the moves that Cleveland made in the offseason, but it seems like they're not using the players they brought in. Jaren Jack, I thought Jaren Jack would play a lot more one and move Kyrie over to the two. And I thought Earl Clark would definitely, start at the three or play that stretch four position. But when I watch Cleveland, Earl Clark's never on the court.
Yeah, and I don't really know why, but, again, I think that statement lends a little bit more credence to my argument because you've got guys you're really not using, So you might as well just run like hell, right? Sorry for the language. Yeah. I don't know what kind of show this is. If this is for children.
Oh, no, we're fine. It's not PG-13.
You might as well run and wear the other team out because you do have a really good backup point guard. You do have Deion Waiters who needs the ball to be effective, and you've got guys like Earl Clark that can maybe even spot up and shoot and play some defense. But, instead, we're playing Varejao and Tristan Thompson at the same time. It's just ludicrous. And it all comes back to Mike Brown. He doesn't know what to do with what he has.
Is Anthony Bennett salvageable?
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that he could become a serviceable player, but, he hasn't panned out this far, and who knows?
I look at this draft as from a Wizards fan, we have Otto Porter's he's doing just as much as Bennett's doing. And I just wish we would have got what's his name, Nerlens Noel. I mean, because we could just let that guy, basically that's like a free draft pick for next year, having a guy like him. And, he could mix, who knows, maybe he's a poor man's Anthony Davis, but that's a great addition as opposed to unknowns like Bennett, who seems like he has a weight issue. But I still think he just needs more playing time. And with the record the way it is now, let's just put the kid on the floor and see what he can do. And Porter's just, I don't know what's wrong with him. I wasn't in love with Otto Porter anyway. I don't like 6'8" guys that don't have any hops or can't really play any physical game. So, that draft pick just has to be depressing when you get the number one overall after having the number 4 in Waiters and then the number 1 in Kyrie Irving. Can Kyrie Irving and Deion Waiters coexist?
I think so, but I think it would have to be in a more up-tempo style.
Okay.
Because if everyone, when you slow the game down, you reduce the number of possessions, and you're reducing their effectiveness. If you sped the game up, there'd be more possessions, and then you got a situation where Deion Waiters can be a finisher. He doesn't have to dribble the ball into the ground and shoot over somebody. So that's really, there really are. Then you have Jarrett Jack, who actually played in Golden State last year. So that's really what they should be doing. That's kind of what the rules, the league rules right now. They don't really let you play defense.
So, I was talking about that a little bit earlier today. Yeah, exactly. It definitely is Euroball. Mike Brown, I think, is the problem. He's a defensive-minded coach. He played under Popovich. He's into structure and format and emphasizing defense. you have a young squad like this. Maybe, Cleveland should have brought in one of these younger coaches, one of these hungrier coaches, and like Mark Jackson did with Cleveland, hey, get Kyrie Irving's a thoroughbred, man. Get that guy up and down the court. And have your guys like Earl Clark, instead of going to the hole, they're flaring out to the three-point line. Get those guys some open shots. And as a team, they should be shooting high volume shot attempts a game.
Yeah, and they didn't really have the personnel for a Mike Brown team, and it was not hiring, for that reason, especially after Kobe fired him, because he couldn't coach offense with the Lakers too. I mean, that's why Kobe fired him.
Well, and they replaced him with Dan Tony. That was great.
Yeah.
It's great. Hey, Chris, I appreciate the call, and please feel free to join us at any time, and we're definitely going to be talking a lot of basketball from here forward, and I always enjoy your insight, man.
All right, just want to give a quick shout-out to Chris Gent and get off the phone, man. I'll talk to you next time.
I appreciate it, everybody. That's the show. This is BeatStreet Sports Talk Radio. Thanks for joining in, and we'll talk to you next time. Have a great one.